Right now at noon, more than 200,000 childcare providers across the U.S. will lose funding. We'll have what that means for parents in the 4 states.
Remember that pause in the rain we talked about? Well, we're getting that now, but more rain is on the way. We're going to talk about that in your forecast coming up.
Plus, Taylor Swift has been in attendance during the Kansas City Chiefs' last 2 games, but some football fans thinks she's stealing the spotlight from the game.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us on KOAM News at Noon. I'm Caitlin O'Shaughnessy. In today's top story, Special Olympics Kansas hosts a regional unified bocce competition in Girard, Kansas. The competition had 66 teams and over 340 athletes of all ages sign up to compete. Many volunteers from Girard High School, as well as some cheerleaders, were there to greet and help out the athletes. The main thing that the athletes take away is the relationships they build.
The biggest thing I hope that they gain is those relationships, working on communicating, working on independence, working on, having those people within the community that they can go up and talk to and be friends with and have those lifelong friendships made.
Redevelopment of Union Depot building could lead to possible growth opportunities in Joplin. Since May of last year, the Downtown Joplin Alliance has been working with the state of Missouri to figure out how to turn the Union Depot into an asset for the community once again. Joe Borgstrom with Palace and Plain Advisors presented research showing the depot has the best chance for success if it serves a multi-purpose role.
Tremendous amount of potential. We think it can host any number of uses, but one of the things that we think would be really cool would be a brew pub or a distillery or something like that, and then with a mix of office and retail and community space.
The Alliance says their next step is to put out a request for proposals for potential developers.
Well, this morning we talked about a gap in the rain coverage late morning into the early afternoon. For some of us, that's exactly what we're getting. Live look at the MoDOT camera, 32nd and range line in Joplin, looking back to the north. Roads still wet in spots, dry in others, but the rain no longer falling. However, as we look at the Skywatch Storm Tracker, here's that gap we talked about. We got thunderstorms out to the west, getting into parts of Elk and Chautauqua County and in Osage County. These storms have been severe periodically through the morning down in Oklahoma. They are simply strong at this point, but they're continuing to lift off to the east-northeast. Will eventually make their way into Washington County, Nowata County, and then into the southern parts of southeast Kansas and continue eastward into southwest Missouri. Let's zoom in on what we still have somewhat in our area just to the southeast of Cassville. We've got some heavier rain down there stretching back into Benton County. We've got some lighter showers up here around Mount Vernon, Monette, just a few of those, and they'll stretch up to Greenfield. And we take this radar back about 3 hours, and you can see here goes that batch moving on out. Little redevelopment taking place behind it, and then here comes our next batch of showers and thunderstorms. We also, because of all the heavy rain we've received, have some flood advisories into parts of Newton McDonald counties and in parts of Berry County as well. 345 here. And these ones run until 4. Yesterday started the day at 66, well above where we should be. Made it to 83, well above where we should be. And some of us will be a little warmer than the others. As we mentioned, out west, we got that bigger dry slot. It's been drier longer. We're getting into the mid-upper 70s. But out here where the clouds and rain are just exiting, we're still low to mid-60s in some locations. We'll talk about the additional storm chances that are on their way and the cool temperatures that are on their way in your full forecast here in a few minutes. Okay.
Thanks, Chris. Well, this month is the first in 2 years that more than 200,000 child care providers across the U.S. will not be receiving checks from the federal government as part of a pandemic-era program to help cover the cost of services. The largest investment in child care in U.S. history, the monthly payments range from hundreds to tens of thousands of dollars and stabilized the industry during the COVID-19 pandemic. For years, providers had been raising alarm about an unsustainable business model that burdens families with high costs and leaves centers with razor-thin profit margins. Issues only exacerbated by inflation and a significant workforce shortage. Now, providers say that without additional investment, centers are facing the possibility of shutdown. The Century Foundation, a progressive think tank in Washington, D.C., analyzed a provider survey and government data and concluded that in 6 states that include Arkansas, Montana, Utah, Virginia, West Virginia, as well as Washington, D.C., are up to half of all the providers that are going to be threatened.
There are so many people that they don't have a grandma or an aunt or a cousin or anybody that can, be a consistent person to watch their child every day.
Most family providers are calling on Congress to create a permanent funding solution to the crisis, warning of the ripple effects of the nation's already brittle economy. A Democratic proposal failed last month without any Republican support. It would have continued the grants for 5 years with $16 billion allocated annually. And one local teacher has now been honored with the Milken Award, also known as the Oscars of teaching. Michael Tappy is a math and robotics teacher at Hellstern Middle School who was awarded $25,000 cash on top of the award.
Students and faculty of Hellstern Middle School went to the cafetorium Tuesday expecting to hear Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders and Arkansas Education Secretary Jacob Olivia speak about education in the natural state.
I thought the governor and Secretary Oliva were going to be talking about education in the state, sharing about Governor Sanders' passion for education, and maybe rolling out a new initiative or celebrating Hellstern as an A school.
And this surprise award was a moment that left Tapey honored and speechless.
The Milken Educator Award goes to Michael Tepe.
Tapey can use the $25,000 however he pleases. Previous recipients have used the money for their classrooms, to pay off loans, or further their education.
I do want to go for my educational doctorate at some point probably, and so this could be a good start to that, of investing in further education.
The philanthropist behind the Milken Educator Award, Lowell Milken, felt that Tapey is deserving because of the type of leader and mentor he is for students.
Michael has been in education about 7 years. We feel that over the next 25 to 30 years, he's going to continue to change young people's lives.
If you're wondering how the foundation selects educators from across the country, well, that part is a secret.
Let's just say we work with state departments of education, and our foundation makes the final selections. And this year, we will be presenting 75 across the nation.
Tapey gives 100% credit to his students.
I'd want to remind students that they have unbelievable potential to impact the world. I'd want to remind students that they are deeply loved, and that they have just potential to learn hard things, and that they should keep pursuing their dreams for sure, because they're what makes this job incredibly exciting and really, really fun every single day.
Well, the action might have been on the football field during Sunday night's game, but the cameras didn't waste any opportunity to put the spotlight on the Kansas City Chiefs' most famous fan up in the suites. Travis Kelce says that NFL coverage is focusing too much on Taylor Swift when she cheers him on from the stands at the Kansas City Chiefs games. Swift has been at Kelce's last 2 games, but football fans were left fuming at the amount of times that the camera cut to the pop star during Sunday night's game at New York Jets. Speaking on Wednesday's episode of his new Heights Up podcast, Travis said, quote, "They are overdoing it a bit for sure, especially my situation. They're just trying to have fun with it," end quote. And that's a look at today's top stories and weather in the 4 states region. Up next on KOAM News at Noon. The business of the House of Representatives is at a standstill 1 day after the stunning removal of Speaker Kevin McCarthy. And later, we're making fast taco pie in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen. Stay tuned. The U.S. government is in uncharted territory now that House members have removed their Speaker from the chair for the very first time. Natalie Brand reports from Washington, D.C.
The business of the House of Representatives is at a standstill 1 day after the stunning removal of Speaker Kevin McCarthy.
I don't regret standing up for choosing governance over grievance.
The embattled California congressman has already said he will not run for the speakership again. So now the focus shifts to who will take his place. Todd Belt is a professor of political management at the George Washington University.
Can they get it together? Can they rally behind a speaker who can make the type of deal that they can be happy with and please the entire Republican conference?
Ohio Congressman Jim Jordan said Wednesday he'll run for speaker.
All I'm saying is we need to unite the conference. I think I can do that.
Other names floated include North Carolina Republican Patrick McHenry, who is now acting speaker, and Majority Leader Steve Scalise.
I am open to a number of folks up here. We'll have that discussion and we'll figure out who will be the next speaker.
Congresswoman Nancy Mace is one of the 8 Republicans who voted against McCarthy. Matt Gaetz of Florida led the unprecedented ouster. But the hardliners also had help from the other side. House Democrats were not pleased when McCarthy blamed them for the near government shutdown after he had appealed to them to help keep the government open.
Democrats seize the day, and he goes on TV hours later and says, Republicans did it. Republicans were leading, which is insane.
House Republicans began meeting Tuesday night to discuss their next moves, but it remains unclear when they will hold a vote to elect the next speaker, with a little over 40 days to the next critical budget deadline. Natalie Brand, CBS News, Washington.
Some GOP lawmakers posted last night that they'd nominate Donald Trump. It has never happened before, but the speaker does not have to be a member of Congress. Still to come on KOAM News at Noon, we see what's cooking with Mr. Food.
You know, we all get in a dinner time rut every now and then, and we found the answer to help you through it. We've got it coming up next.
But first, as we mentioned, our thunderstorms will return after this brief pause. We'll take a look at when they'll be here and what the rest of the week looks like when we come back. Welcome back to the KOAM News at Noon. So we've had scattered thunderstorms this morning. Boy, some dangerous lightning, but it was certainly impressive to watch as the storms rolled through this morning. And now we're in that little gap, as you can see on the Skywatch Storm Tracker. What's interesting is the amount of little showers that have begun to back build behind the bigger batch. And look at how big that batch got as it rolled on off to the east. Take a look at these little guys still going back here. We will zoom in a little closer. Some thunderstorm activity, heavier activity starting to roll out of our area. But it has left behind some flood advisories in parts of Newton, McDonald, and Berry counties, so do be aware of that. Then we've got these thunderstorms. There's not much to them now, but earlier they were really going as they were out in north central Oklahoma. They are now starting to kind of weaken a bit. Still some strong storms here in Osage County, and they'll continue to lift off to the east-northeast as we head into the afternoon. And that's going to be our next round of showers and thunderstorms. Doesn't look like much right now, but don't worry. There will be more of these on the way as we head into the afternoon. We still have that possibility of a strong storm or two. The good news is no area is highlighted for tornado risk because that's a very low threat. Any stronger storms we see in the brown areas here could have some small hail and perhaps some gusty winds. But again, like we said earlier, not anticipating any significant widespread severe weather of any kind. So as we head into the evening, we'll again start to see a few more showers and thunderstorms across the area. These will be hit and miss throughout the evening. That's why they're called scattered storms. And then we go into the overnight hours and toward tomorrow morning, they'll become a little more widespread. And we'll start our Thursday a little bit on the wet side, but by the time we hit noon, those showers and storms are out of here. Let's take a look outside. MoDOT camera, 32nd in range line. We got cloudy skies, we've got drying roads, and that's really about it, but of course that will change. MoDOT camera, US 60, Missouri 59, south side of Neosho looking back to the west. Also, cloudy skies. Our camera here at the KOAM studios, you guessed it, cloudy skies out there because that's what we're stuck with. But despite the clouds, some of us starting to warm up. And the KDOT camera, US 69, East 520th Avenue, just south of Pittsburgh, looking off to the south and west. Like always, it's not showing the sky, but you can look at the ground and see that it's clearly cloudy. There's no sunshine. Our camera, 7th in range line, also showing those clouds. We're sitting at 70, and this is where the interesting part comes in. A lot of southeast Kansas dried out pretty early. Therefore, you got to be a little bit warmer. So when we take a look at more temperatures, you'll see what we're talking about. Pittsburgh, also mostly cloudy, a pinch warmer, sitting at 73. South breeze at about 5 miles an hour. And here's where that dry slot is, right through here. So Nowata, 76, 77 Independence, 75 Neodesha, Yates Center, and Iola, and 76 Parsons and Chanute. And then you get back either A, where it's still raining, or the rain is just stopping. We're at 63 in Monette, Cassville, 65 in Neosho. As we head through the rest of today, again, this is on the average. We're talking mid-70s for highs. Some of you in southeast Kansas are going to push a little closer to 80. South breeze at 5 to 10. And again, a couple of strong storms possible. And that'll be the case as we head into the overnight hours, but that's going to be relatively limited. Otherwise, we got thunderstorms and some much-needed rain falling back into the mid-60s. Now, for our Thursday, we'll have those morning thunderstorms. We're going to start the day. We're going to warm close to 80, but then through the day, temperatures will gradually fall. And we'll eventually make it into the low 50s. And then check out Friday, Saturday. We're going to go 10 to 15 degrees below normal as we head into Friday and Saturday. And then we head into next week and we go back above normal, back in the low to mid 80s, ahead of more storm chances on Thursday of next week. And one last thing we want to point out is Friday night, Saturday night, lows in the 40s. Some of us could get into the upper 30s. So if you've got some outdoor vegetation, you just want to be aware of that.
Yes.
Could get a little bit on the chilly side before it suddenly turns around and thaws out again.
All right, we'll bring our plants in. Thanks, Chris. And stick around because we're making fast taco pie in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen. We'll be right back. It's time to check in with Howard in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen. Today he's making a quick and savory pie full of the flavors kids of all ages love for dinner. It's called Fast Taco Pie. Take a look.
If you're like most of us, you find yourself making the same handful of meals over and over again, week after week. And if that sounds like you, I've got just the thing to get you out of the what's for dinner rut. And it goes like this. After browning some ground beef and draining off the pan drippings, we stir in a can of refried beans and a bit of salsa. Sure, we can use bottled salsa, but we found that refrigerated salsa gives this a real fresh taste. Once everything's mixed, we'll let that simmer. While it's cooking, we get our traditional taco go-alongs ready. You know, shredded iceberg, chunked up tomatoes, and grated cheddar. One thing I really like about this recipe is that we actually serve it right from the skillet, which means there's less dishes to wash. Once we layer all of our toppings on our meat and bean mixture, we finish it off with a dollop or two of sour cream, and it's ready to serve. You can even surround it with tortilla chips to give it an extra crunch. The recipe for our fast taco pie is online now, so you can get out of your what's for dinner rut with a one-pan dish they'll come running for. And with only one pot to wash, you'll be done cleaning up the kitchen in no time. I'm Howard in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen, where today we're looking for an easier way for you to say, ooh, it's so good.
To find this recipe along with many others, just head over to our website at KOAMnewsnow.com and click on Mr. Food. Now here's a look at the 4-state market prices.
All right, so we've got those scattered showers and thunderstorms. They will return as we head into the evening and overnight hours. A strong storm or two possible with maybe some small hail, gusty winds. Otherwise, these will continue into Thursday morning for us. After that, we get cold, if you want to call it that, Friday and Saturday. But if you don't like the cold, don't worry. It turns around and gets warm again as we head into the next work week.
All right, and Dow, what do you have for us tonight?
Well, a lot coming up at 5. For starters, concerns about climate change often focus on rising seas and warming temperatures, but some doctors are warning about its effect on our health, including migraines and headaches. Nearly 1 in 10 people worldwide suffer from migraines. We're going to have more on how a changing climate could mean more pain for an awful lot of patients. Plus, Quapaw Nation celebrates 10 years of managing and taking on Superfund remedial activities at the Tar Creek Superfund site. And we're going to meet a Joplin-based band fulfilling their dream of a European tour. Hope you'll join us for those stories. A lot more, of course. It's coming up today on KOAM News at 5.
All right, and thank you for joining us for the KOAM News at Noon.